This is live coverage of the 2022 general election on WCLU Radio.
All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our election coverage for more than 30 years here on WCLU. It's a privilege to be joining you this evening for this much-anticipated broadcast. I'm Brennan Crane, joined by Glasgow attorney here and a longtime co-anchor to this broadcast, Mr. Bobby Richardson. Hello, Bobby.
Good evening. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we have lots of things that folks are wanting to know about this evening. Lots of exciting races here locally, of course, and we're definitely going to be going over those. Polls are closing as we speak here in the Central Time Zone, and, of course, in our Eastern Time Zone. Our neighbors have already, those polls have already closed there, so results will be coming in for some of those major races that we are looking at, too, like the Senate's race here in Kentucky. Bobby, a lot of things here locally that folks are anticipating. Of course, it's a local election year. Folks are going to be, or surely have voted for offices like judge executive, county attorney, magistrates, and of the like, several things. Exciting time.
It is an exciting time. It's always that for me when we have the county elections. We've had at least two of the county races that have been quite interesting, kept the people's attention. Of course, the county judge executive and the county attorney.
Absolutely, and I do know that the judge executive's race is one that it's been interesting to watch from the coverage standpoint, both sides, and in our country as a whole right now, a lot of partisanship, and we're seeing some of that here in our county as well. Bobby, of course, everyone listens to this broadcast every year with anticipation of stories from you, and that's why you're such a good color commentator, if you will. Let's talk a little bit about our broadcast tonight, and first we'll go over that, and then we'll touch base on some of those stories, so be thinking on one, okay?
All right.
We want to thank our sponsors this evening. A special thank you to Colton Steakhouse and Grill, HVAC Services, Walbert Trucking, Monticello Bank, McDonald's of Glasgow, Southern Kentucky Collision, and the Glasgow Electric Plant Board. Of course, the Glasgow Electric Plant Board is helping us out this evening as our wonderful broadcast partner, and we do thank them for that. It's the 2022 general election coverage here live on the radio, WCLU 103.1 FM, 1490 AM, and of course, if you're joining us on our televised broadcast, it is brought to you by the Glasgow Electric Plant Board Channel 6 and on Facebook and YouTube. Several things there. Helping us out, of course, as our usual as well, it's Mr. Joe Myers joining us in studio, who is going to be looking around at our boards once we start getting some of these returns in, learning a little bit about, of course, who is going to be securing the seats that we're talking about. And we do want to say good evening to Joe over there in the corner. I believe he is on television there. Good evening, Joe.
Hey, Brennan, how you doing tonight?
Doing very well. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, very good. We appreciate your help on this. And a lot of folks here that are sitting in the room, too, from Campbell, Myers, and Rutledge CPAs, and, of course, folks that are helping out as well that we have recruited from the community. A special thank you to those folks who are going to be helping us tabulate. Now, again, I want to throw it back to you, Bobby, because, this is the 2022 general election, and it's the midterm election here. We're right in between the presidential race, and, of course, there are key Senate and House races. Talk a little bit about some of those things that you've observed over the last few years since we were last in this seat in 2018.
Well, of course, we're in a period where we expect the party that holds the presidency will lose votes in the House and in the Senate. That's been the case every year except 1936, I believe it was, and maybe about 2000, along about 2000. So it's obvious that we're going to have a turnover in the House. Probably as close as it is presently, there'll be a change in the leadership. Republicans are apt to take the House. Senate seems to be real close. I believe they're speaking about 10 states that are really the only important races tonight, because the others are pretty well a foregone conclusion.
Right.
So we'll need to keep an eye on those to see who might organize the Senate.
Very good, and appreciate that insight there. We do want to go over, too, we've had periods here over the last couple of years where local elections especially and across the country, it's been really interesting to watch because we've had in 2020 where we had to, of course, postpone that primary election out to the summer when it's normally held in May here in Kentucky, and then we had to deal with absentee ballots, really influx of that due to the nature of the pandemic. And then over the last couple of years, including this year, voters here locally have taken advantage of a few types of early voting. And I want to kind of go over some of those numbers just for folks that are listening. Our early voting here in Barren County, we had two types. And that first one was early unexcused and the early excused. And that early excused voting took place first. It lasted 6 days at the clerk's office, and of course that was for some of those folks that couldn't get out today on election day or during that early voting. We understand that 185 people voted during that in-person excused voting. And last week, of course, we had that unexcused voting, which is where pretty much anyone could go and vote. That was held there at the Barren County Ag Extension Office. And lots of folks went out there. That was 4,172 votes that were cast there. And again, these numbers are unofficial. They're preliminary numbers that the Barren County Clerk's Office has given us, but 12% of the total electorate. I do know personally going out to vote early, it was a convenient process, but I was encouraged because there were some lines, and it looks like that was the way it was today. What about you, Bobby?
Well, I went out there Saturday and voted, and there was a lot of people there, but it was efficient. We went through quickly. I'm certainly an advocate of this early voting. I think it's a great convenience. In the early days of our country, election days lasted at least 3 days. There wasn't just one day. And I guess as our transportation improved, it went to 1 day. But this is we ought to encourage people to vote, and by having early voting, we can encourage them to vote.
Right.
And I hope it continues.
And I think that Barren Countyans have been encouraged by it. They've certainly shown out to do that. And again, 12% of that total electorate here in the county, 12% of total voters participated in that. You know, something we talked about back in the primary, which was a big deal, was the political leanings here in the county. For the first time, that I think you even said this, for the first time you can remember, the Democratic primary in Barren County this past May, it was really slim because a majority of our candidates were not only Republicans, but also we had some that just simply didn't, we had offices that weren't contested. Talk a little bit about that. You know, now that we have officially flipped the dial, more Republicans are registered in Barren County than Democrats.
It looks like from the figures that are here in front of me, there are about 2,500 more Republican votes, registered voters.
Right.
But you know, that's not all. That's not necessarily reflect the attitude here.
Sure.
We've always had an overwhelmingly Democratic registration, but especially in national elections,
right,
Republicans very often carried this county. It had always been the case that in local elections the Democrats were dominant, but that's changed. The first time that there was a Republican elected to county office in this county was 1953, when Governor Nunn was elected county judge. Then there wasn't any more until Wilmer Hodges was elected county court clerk, 1965. So you can see that metamorphosis that has occurred over the years as the result of some of the policies of the National Democratic Party that not been in tune with the mores of our society here.
Sure. And like you said, it is a subtle difference in the grand scheme of things. Of course, we do have the remainder of folks that aren't Democratic or Republican voters, or at least registered that way, comprise those other parties. You know, we have the Libertarian Party, we have independents, etc. And another figure here that I thought was interesting, just going through all of the numbers, was there are actually more women registered to vote here in the county than men. As of October 17th. That was the latest figures from the State Board of Elections.
Well, I'm sure that's right. I would suggest there's probably more women in Barren County than there are men.
Yep, and that would explain it, wouldn't it? Well, interesting stuff that we went over here, and we have a lot more to get to this evening. It's, of course, going to be an exciting evening as we begin tabulating these results. Polls are closing. We have folks that are all over the county this evening who are going to be waiting for those tickets to be posted, and it's going to be exciting once we start getting those results in. We're going to take a 4-minute break, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more about some of the trends that we're seeing across the county. We'll touch base on some of the more issue-based reporting that we've seen over the last several months, and we'll touch base on that once we come back. It's the 2022 general election coverage on WCLU and the Glasgow Electric Plant Board.
Alexa, what time is it?
Time to get the heat fixed, David. I'm freezing.
What?
I'm cold. Call HVAC services.
It's not that cold. Plus, you're not even a human.
They do heating and cooling 24 hours a day on any brand, anytime. Plus, do you know who wakes you up in the morning?
You do, Alexa?
Enjoy me keeping your shopping lists?
Yeah?
Then call HVAC services at 270-651-3841 before I cancel all your appointments.
At the Glasgow EPB, we make it easy to be our customer. By offering both energy and broadband services, those who live in Glasgow benefit from knowing that their essential utilities are always working to benefit the community they serve. Those who need Glasgow EPB services can apply in person or online and can pay their monthly bill the exact same way. When you have trouble with your service, help is only a phone call or click away. That is how we strive to make our services convenient for you. Learn more at glasgowepb.com.
Are you looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Sean Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
What's better than a hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection? A hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection along with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. What a combo! Right now at Colton Steakhouse and Grill, get a hand-cut 6-ounce sirloin cooked to order with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. Served with 2 side items, delicious rolls and honey, plus endless peanuts. Get your sirloin and seafood fix at the same time, only at Colton Steakhouse and Grill in Glasgow, Campbellsville, Radcliffe, and Bardstown. We know what's at stake. Sirloin and shrimp too.
Monticello Bank began in 1895 in Monticello, Kentucky. They were one of the few banks who survived the Great Depression. Today, there are 21 branches all across the Commonwealth, from Louisville to Harlan. Monticello Bank offers full-service local banking for personal and business products. From home loans to commercial lending, Monticello Bank will guarantee the most competitive rates from local people you know and trust. Because their friendly personal staff is what separates Monticello Bank from all the rest. Stop by their location on 1434 Happy Valley Road in Glasgow every weekday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and let them make the financial side of your life a little bit easier. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It was a Friday. We were wrapping up a slow night on highway patrol when the call came in. Deer Patrol, Buck speaking. Slow down, Tom, slow down. What's the problem? What? You hit a deer and Southern Kentucky Collision is going to give you a free turkey? Well, that sounds like a great idea. I'm sorry you don't agree, but Southern Kentucky Collision knows that deer do a ton of damage to vehicles. Kentucky's ranked 4th in the country in number of deer collisions this time of year. A free turkey when you bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision for repair of the deer damage is a great way to turn your luck around. Well, not your luck around. Southern Kentucky's collisions respected work is well documented. So if you hit a deer, don't be a turkey. Get a turkey. Bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision. The 8th annual Hit a Deer, Get a Turkey event at Southern Kentucky Collision, Industrial Drive, Glasgow. No real deer or turkeys were harmed in the making.
It's down here. All right, welcome back into our 2022 general election coverage here on WCLU Radio. I'm Brendan Crane in the seat tonight, and joining me is Bobby Richardson. Bobby, we've had an exciting time already talking about some of our things, but the excitement is yet to come. And one of the things that's encouraging to me is that folks are turning out to vote in this election. I've just received an update from Barren County High School that it appears there are still a few people out there. In fact, our Bruce Tribune, who is out there to collect the results, he estimates about 200 folks were still lined up at the close of those polls.
Well, if they're in line at 6 o'clock, they get to vote. So
that's right.
Sometimes the polls don't close till 7.
That's right, in essence, and you know, that's just a part of the way this goes. We never have a good ability to tell you, hey, we're going to have the results in just a few minutes. Sometimes we wait around for that, so we just want to go ahead and give everyone that fair warning that we are going to be here for as long as we can get these results in. You know, I've heard some things around the county today. I know initially this morning at Barren County High School, lots of folks were lined up to vote, and I've heard that it has been a little bit of a lengthy process because folks are waiting in line, and the ballot this year is just so robust. We have those 2 amendments that are really lengthy, and then of course we have all of that process there with getting everything in line on just all the candidates that we have to vote.
Well, it was a long ballot. I was surprised when I voted how long it was, but really it didn't take that long. They did a good job. Sure. They're very efficient and proficient.
I know it's a big undertaking for sure. We just received some information too from Cave City. Of course, folks there at the Cave City Convention Center are still voting. We've just received that in here as well to the newsroom. So we are at this point looking across the county. Looks like lots of folks are still out voting. I do want to remind folks that are listening here that we do have 8 voting centers that were in place this year. Bobby, folks were going out and about today to a number of places, including Austin Tracy Fire Department, of course, Barren County High School gym that we just mentioned a moment ago, Beckton Community Center, Cave City Convention Center, the Haywood Fire Department, Highsville Volunteer Fire Department, Park City Lions Club, and the Temple Hill Fire Department. So 8 places that voters could vote anywhere in the county this year, Bobby.
You know, there's 32,000 plus registered voters in the county. Last year, almost 50% voted. So right. We're talking about processing something like 15,000, well, about 12,000 votes today when you take out the early voting.
Right.
So that's 2,000, average 2,000 people about it at each voting place, and that's that takes a while to get that done.
I know, too, I want to commend the clerk's office for their job. I know that they have a huge undertaking this time of the year, and especially a local election because we have more candidates naturally. And I do know that this year alone it's been tricky because we've had not only 8 voting centers, which was 4 more than the primary, but we've also dwindled down our pool of people that can actually work those polling locations. Folks, you know, either have unfortunately passed away that were working those polls, and then of course the pandemic has complicated the process of getting folks. So again, I commend the Barren County Clerk's Office for their job with the election, but you know, like you said a moment ago, it's a lot of voters to get through each of those locations.
You know, when you consider that an election officer has at least a 13-hour day.
That's right.
And they probably get paid $25.
Yeah.
And they can't even leave to eat lunch. So
that's right.
They've got to. It's hard to get people to do that.
Have a big day. You know, we talked a little bit about this, teased it just a moment ago, but, you know, what's defining this election here locally? The last 4 years have been, I think each time we have an election we can say it's been interesting, but the last 4 years have been really interesting in the way of a lot of our local races. And coming up here, of course, we do have, like you mentioned, the judge executives race here in Barren County has been one that has been heavily watched, and I know that folks this evening are going to be anticipating those results. You know, one of the things a few weeks ago, we hosted a candidates forum at the Plaza Theater, and one of the questions that the community submitted, a number of questions actually, essentially dealing with the same thing, was division and unity in our community, Bobby.
Well, I've not seen it quite as bad here as it is nationally,
right.
But it is here, and we've seen that division over the plant board.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that division over horses.
That's right.
We've seen that division over other things, and it may be stoked a little bit by news coverage.
Sure.
But if we don't become more interested in the result of what happens for Barren County than we are who wins, we're going to be again lagging way behind our neighbors.
I think we can all agree with that.
Who wants to come to Glasgow and put in a factory when everybody's arguing over irrelevant sort of things?
Sure.
And I hope that whoever wins these races, that they will put that behind and focus on the assets of this county, which are wonderful. We've got a wonderful workforce. We've got good, honest, hard-working people, and anybody ought to be happy to come here to find a workforce.
Absolutely. Like you said, the people here are inherently good people, and unfortunately I think sometimes we let, you know, partisanship and things like that get in the way. We're going to hear a little bit from our forum that we conducted a few weeks ago with the candidates, and we're going to start off this evening hearing from our judge executive candidates. Of course, that's Democratic incumbent Michael Held and Republican Jamie Bewley-Byrd, and here are their takes on division in our community.
Among our leaders, explain how you would unify individuals within the community, and what would be your vision for unity and a working relationship with other local and state elected officials? Ma'am.
You know, to be a good leader, you have to create a great team, and you have to understand where you need to rise and help those individuals grow. And I plan to do that if I am elected as your next Barren County Judge Executive, and work with our magistrates and work as a team. In addition to that, I want to work with our mayors. We have Cave City, Park City, and Glasgow, and understand that those mayors have someone to work with and be in full communication with, and if they want to go to Frankfort and pursue an opportunity, we go together as a unified effort. In addition to that, I want to support our school systems here. Also, if they want to go to Frankfort or pursue any opportunity, we work together. In addition to going to Frankfort, while we're at Frankfort, we have to work with our state representative and our state senator. Both have endorsed me because they want people from our area that want to help Barren County. We have to go to Frankfort to pursue opportunities. There are 120 counties in the state of Kentucky. When I worked in Frankfort, that is exactly how it works. People continually are coming. You might get more opportunities than you've ever pursued, or you might just have them remember you.
What people are asking me is this: Judge, where can I get a better paying job at? Judge, where can I and what can I do to help grow my business? With industry, they're asking, what can we do to put ourselves in position to expand? with the older population, here's the most important question that they're asking. What can we be doing for our community now that will afford my kids to stay here and raise our grandkids? And I have worked with all county governments within Barren County. Glasgow City Council, Cave City City Council, Park City Commission. I've worked with all the mayors. I have a great working relationship with Governor Beshear's office. We speak weekly. I have a great working relationship with Jim Gray of the Transportation Cabinet. We speak weekly. And keep in mind, those guys have sent almost $2 million in discretionary funds to Barren County for specific projects.
Our candidates for Judge Executive here in Barren County. Again, that's incumbent Democrat Michael Hill and Republican challenger Jamie Bewley-Byrd. Moving on from that idea there, you know, you mentioned a little bit on the national scale. I think when folks think of politics in general, they certainly think on a widespread level. Let's talk about the climate in this country as it stands today on this general election day.
Well, the climate is not good, is my literally and figuratively. We've got a big problem with our environmental climate, but the political climate is not good, and I think that the partisanship is just become too much to be good for the country. When I was in the legislature, we didn't have this kind of division between the two parties. We would find a way to bridge opinions.
What approach would you take to
You can't always get everything you want, but you've got to understand that other people have opinions that reflect what their constituents think, and you have to give consideration to that. You can't say, it's my ball, and if you don't play according to my rules, I'm going home. That's not the way government ought to be. Sure. And it's become that way. I don't want to get partisan myself on this, but Senator McConnell wouldn't allow the president, I guess it was Obama, to appoint a Supreme Court judge. I think that he was wrong about that. I think that that should have been handled. If they wanted to vote against the person, fine. We can't say it is my way or it's not going to be anyway.
Right, and I agree. I think most folks think that, or can observe that, can see that environment in our country currently. Kind of going down a little bit on the statewide level, you mentioned a little bit of your time in the legislature there. What do you think moving forward? What would be your bit of wisdom for maybe going back to a little bit more, of a united state rather than being divided?
Well, that's a difficult question because people's opinions have become hardened in the last few years. They've become people they call a liberal anybody that supports abortion. Anybody that supports homosexual marriages and that sort of thing, and a conservative, anybody that's opposed to that. Well, I don't think it's quite that simple. I always thought a conservative was one that didn't want things to change, and a liberal was one that wants things to change.
Sure.
And if that's the definition, I'm a liberal because I want things to change.
Sure.
And we're going to have to, again, say this is a country that we can't have a dictatorship of the majority. having a dictatorship of the majority is just as bad as having the dictatorship of one person to that minority. So we need to consider the rights of everybody.
Sure. And, you know, it's an interesting point you make there. I know, speaking with, of course, both candidates from both sides of the aisle, and then, you know, particularly our Democratic candidates, I almost feel like, you know, they're kind of going on a defensive tactic for this go-around as far as trying to appeal to the voters, simply because, you know, some folks do vote depending on that, you know, Democratic or Republican partisanship there, you know, the letter beside the name, and of course not going to offer an opinion whether I think that's right or not, but I do think that folks are, you know, it's interesting to see that folks are really convinced one way or the other, you know, on those partisan lines. You know, Bobby, going back to where folks are still voting, you know, we updated just a few minutes ago about Cave City still voting, Barren County High School still voting. I've just received some information that looks like Haywood is still voting as well. So we have voters that are still casting their ballots across Barren County, which means that we will not know those results, at least for just a little while longer.
We may have to bring in cots.
We might have to. We have to stay here all evening, won't we?
Yes.
Very good. Well, we're going to take another 3-minute break, and when we come back, we'll touch base on some more things. You're listening and watching the 2022 general election coverage with WCLU and the Glasgow Electric Plant Board.
If you were about to have your last McRib ever, you'd want some warning. So this is your notice to enjoy the sauciest McDonald's sandwich more than ever, because the McRib Farewell Tour has begun.
This is your chance to say 2 final goodbyes to a classic. For a limited time, enjoy 2 McRib sandwiches for only $6. Hurry before they're gone. At participating McDonald's, McD app download and registration required.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Alexa, what time is it?
Time to get the heat fixed, David. I'm freezing.
What?
I'm cold. Call HVAC services.
It's not that cold. Plus, you're not even a human.
They do heating and cooling 24 hours a day on any brand, anytime. Plus, do you know who wakes you up in the morning?
You do, Alexa?
Enjoy me keeping your shopping lists?
Yeah?
Then call HVAC services at 270-651-3841 before I cancel all your appointments.
It was a Friday. We were wrapping up a slow night on highway patrol when the call came in. Deer Patrol, Buck speaking. Slow down, Tom, slow down. What's the problem? What? You hit a deer and Southern Kentucky Collision is going to give you a free turkey? Well, that sounds like a great idea. I'm sorry you don't agree, but Southern Kentucky Collision knows that deer do a ton of damage to vehicles. Kentucky's ranked 4th in the country in number of deer collisions this time of year. A free turkey when you bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision for repair of the deer damage is a great way to turn your luck around. Well, not your luck around. Southern Kentucky's Collision's respected work is well documented. So if you hit a deer, don't be a turkey. Get a turkey. Bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision. The 8th annual Hit a Deer, Get a Turkey event at Southern Kentucky Collision, Industrial Drive, Glasgow. No real deer or turkeys were harmed in the making of this commercial.
At the Glasgow EPB, we make it easy to be our customer. By offering both energy and broadband services, those who live in Glasgow benefit from knowing that their essential utilities are always working to benefit the community they serve. Those who need Glasgow EPB services can apply in person or online and can pay their monthly bill the exact same way. When you have trouble with your service, help is only a phone call or click away. That is how we strive to make our services convenient for you. Learn more at glasgowepb.com.
Are you looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Sean Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
All right, welcome back into our 2022 general election coverage, as you just heard there. I'm Brennan Crane. Joining me this evening is Bobby Richardson. Bobby, we've been talking a little bit this evening about the lines across the county at our various voting centers. We've just received word here that it looks like at Barren County High School, the voters there have just finished, and they're waiting on the tape to be pulled there. So that gives us a good signal, and that means we surely will have some of those results coming in, hopefully within 20 minutes or so, I would hope. But I don't want to put a time indicator on it.
They voted 200 people quickly, didn't they?
They did. And like you said earlier, it's a testament to the clerk's office just how efficient and proficient they're running this process. I do know that Haywood is still voting and Cave City is still voting, so folks there are going to be, we'll hear from them hopefully soon. Remember, there are 8 voting centers across the county where voters are voting today on a general election day. That's across here in Barren County. For folks that are listening on the radio, we are, of course, talking about Glasgow, Cave City, Park City, and Barren County as a whole here on this broadcast. We have lots of races to talk about this evening, and I do want to remind folks, if they did not go out and vote, but would still be interested to know who won, that would be a predicament, I suppose. But we are going to hopefully have that coverage here for you. I say hopefully because we'll be waiting on these results. Across the county this evening, I've heard a little bit about various candidates that are having watch parties and of the like, and I've understood that a lot of folks are going to be watching this broadcast this evening. So we appreciate everyone who's tuned in and who is going to be awaiting these results. Bobby, an exciting part of this as an onlooker, and then, of course, now being a participant in it, I always enjoy hearing from the candidates once we eventually know who's won that office.
Well, they're usually euphoric, so you may not get a good reading as to what they really are thinking, but, it's winning an election does bring forth some euphoria.
And you would know that firsthand.
I do. I also know how it feels to lose one.
Losing is one of those things that I think you can apply to all parts of life. Unfortunately, it happens, and unfortunately this evening we're going to have some losses, but I think, what I would say, I think we all have our own losses in life. Sometimes you just have to move on graciously with those. Bobby, from the standpoint of a political candidate, what would you say? Kind of compare that. Of course, when you win, you said euphoric, but when you lose, how do you go about your way, but still have to be proud of yourself that you put yourself out there to run?
Well, of course, I ran for lieutenant governor and was unsuccessful, but the next day I was back at the office working, doing what I usually do. So, you can't let it bother you. I mean, you can't dwell on it. People shouldn't get bitter over losing an election.
Sure. You mentioned a little bit about going back to work the next day. Was listening at the turn of the 5 o'clock hour here in the Central Time Zone, and of course 6 o'clock in the Eastern. And Lexington television station had an interview with one of the Lexington mayoral candidates, and that's what he was saying, was talking about, if tonight goes well, he's going to wake up tomorrow as the new mayor, and if it doesn't, he's going to have a buffer day, spend some time with his family, and just get back to work. So it's all you can do.
It is. Changing the subject a little, I was noticing a little bit of a figure that you have here on this papers that you gave me about the 2018 election,
which was the last local election.
Right. We had about a 49% registered voter turnout.
Mm-hmm.
We had straight ticket voting. Republican 27-29.
Right.
Democrat 1851. Nearly 1,000 votes more straight Republican votes.
Right.
But we had some Democratic victors.
We did.
I thought that was interesting. There was a lot more of split ticket voting than there was straight ticket voting.
And on that note too, even 4 years ago, the county, as we alluded to at the beginning of the broadcast, the county was by registration statistics, more Democratically registered, if you will, than Republican registered. But still, more Republicans 4 years ago were voting straight ticket the Democrats. And like you said, we did have some victors. Of course, some of those are the obviously the current incumbents that are seeking re-election this evening as well.
I just thought that was an interesting figure, data to look at.
Absolutely. You know, another part of our broadcast this evening, you know, we heard a little bit about our judge executive candidates who talked about division. The other side of the aisle here in Glasgow, we have our mayoral candidates, and those mayoral candidates, of course, are Mr. Henry Royce and W. Keith Rowlett. And a lot of folks are probably wondering, well, where's Henry this evening? And that's just the nature of it, is Henry is on the ballot, so he has respectfully excused himself from our broadcast, and that's why I'm here this evening to join you. But I do want to go to one of our clips that we have for our priorities as mayor. And, you know, again, the way we ran these forums over a month ago now is we asked the community what they cared about. We wanted to hear from citizens and what they cared about. They submitted those questions. We had a committee that met here at the radio station, and I can tell you lots of questions were submitted, lots of interesting ones. It was difficult to really gauge exactly which ones we should ask. But of course, everyone wants to know, what is your plan if you're elected? And that's no different for Glasgow Mayor. We're going to hear from both of those candidates, Henry Royce and W. Keith Rowlett.
What is your vision for the future of Glasgow, and how do you plan to support bringing this vision to fruition?
The overwhelming thing is that the people don't trust the government. Now, that struck a nerve with me because as I've been visiting with people here, that's the exact same thing that I've been hearing. I'm so impressed that people are interested in getting our city on the right track. So my goal, first goal, would be to get Glasgow, the city of Glasgow, the council members, the city government, people that work for the city, all working toward the same goal and working on the same page. We don't need to hear that people don't trust us when we got 9 of the smartest people in town as council members down there and a good mayor and good employees. We've got to figure out what it is that we can do to show that we are working for the same projects, for getting the same things done, and for getting a team together in making Glasgow grow.
We need definitely for the people to trust those in office. And also we need to work together as a team for the people as a city. If I had a platform, which I do, my thought was working for the people and the city. And work for the people means to make sure everybody across the board has the same opportunities to do and get a good job, to have a good life, to raise their children in a safe community, and also to trust those who is in office.
Well, we do, of course, here have one result from our national setting and state setting, if you want to. And I do want to mention here, you mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, some of these races, you know, a lot of folks could really predict them. But, you know, I don't like to make any sort of predictions other than off of how we have registered voters and how we predict those voters to vote. But it does look like here that Rand Paul has been reelected for a 3rd term here in the Kentucky, actually the U.S. Senate, but from Kentucky here. And Bobby, we just heard as well from our candidates for Glasgow Mayor, W. Keith Rowlett and Mr. Henry Royce, both of those gentlemen there talking about the fact in our community that it appears that the citizenship doesn't trust the government. And I don't necessarily know that that's something that someone wants to be proud of. You don't necessarily want to wear a shirt that says, I trust the government. But I think what these gentlemen are talking about is the fact that, you know, we want that unity. Again, we have that unity factor here. You will have a good perspective on this, I think. Folks remember Glasgow and Barren County where folks just seem to get along better in our yesteryears. And now, you know, we don't necessarily have that. I don't necessarily think it's all because of our leaders. I do think we have some other complicating factors. People have become less social in the nature of social media and technology, sure, but Bobby, what do you think moving forward here in our community? Let's kind of revisit that unity question. What direction should we go in as far as unity goes?
Well, I've given that a lot of thought, and I've come to no conclusion.
I think it's a good point.
You raised one issue there that I think is important about it, and that is that we don't communicate with each other face to face like we once did.
Right.
We don't have a place to meet and discuss with our neighbors. I grew up out at 88, as everybody knows. My parents ran a store there, and the whole community gathered in there. People knew each other. They talked about issues, and a lot of decisions were made there. You can't do that on Facebook.
Right.
When you are, when you're being sarcastic.
Sure.
When you're making points that somebody is not a good person and so forth. I just believe that our culture has changed, and that the media, social media, has been a big part of that change in culture.
Absolutely.
And it's just going to be like the climate change. We're going to have to accommodate ourselves, acclimate ourselves to it, and try to overcome our distances.
Sure, I think that's a good way to put it. Well, of course, you potentially, if you're watching on television, you just saw we were handed the yellow sheets of paper, and that is a signal that we have some results in locally. And so, Bobby, we are going to go run right on down the list here. Our tabulators are already working diligently, and we're going to run right down the list here, starting with our U.S. Senator race. For Republican Rand Paul, 668 votes at the Austin Tracy Fire Department, 142 for Charles Booker. For U.S. Representative in Congress for the 2nd Congressional District, it's Republican Brett Guthrie with 690 votes and Hank Linderman, 109. For Barren County Judge Executive at the Republican Jamie Byrd, 574 votes at the Austin Tracy Fire Department to Michael Hell's 219. Barren County Attorney, Republican Mike Richardson with 488 votes, and Democrat Catherine Thomas with 306. Barren County Sheriff, Republican Steve Garrison with 462 votes, and Kent Keene with 334. Barren County Jailer, Republican Aaron Shirley, 658 votes to Cody Huff's 122. Magistrate 2nd District, which of course is there at Austin, 602 votes for Republican Derek Pettigo to 140 for Democrat Kristen Haynes. For Magistrate District 3, that's Republican Tim Durham with 8 votes and 0 for Dennis Stevens. Constable District 3, Republican Joshua Garman, 3 votes, and Democrat Thomas Neal Jr. with 4 votes. Magistrate District 4, Republican Tim Coomer with 2 votes, and Democrat Chris Eaton with 4. Constable District 4, Russ Mosier, who's on the Republican side with 3 votes. Democrat John London with 3 votes. Magistrate District 5, Republican Marty Kinslow with 8 votes. Ben Knuckles, who's the Democrat, with 5 votes. Magistrate District 7, Mike Haynes, who is the Republican, that's 5 votes. Brad Gross, 5 votes. For Constable District 7, Republican Joseph Ramey, 6 votes. Charles Benham, Democrat, 3 votes. And again, we're reporting here from the Austin Tracy Fire Department. Bobby, if you want to take some through there and read the rest of those from the Justice of the Supreme Court on downward.
All right, we'll look at if I can find that. Yeah, Justice of the Supreme Court, Kelly Thompson got 436 votes. Alcott 158. For the Court of Appeals, Jeff Taylor 359, David Clement 150. We had no votes for Mickey Hatchett and Gina Line at the Caverna School Board. Allison Dennison, Jennifer Page Ballard, and Colisha Knuckles each got 1. For the Glasgow Board of Education, Barrett Lessenberry had 12, William Thornberry 11, Talley 1, Hayden had 8 votes. Over at Cave City, Letitia Klein had 1 vote for mayor, and neither of the others had any. In Cave City, there was no votes for Briggs, Johnson, Pettigo, Doyle, and Kevin Houchins on the council, and 1 vote each for Douglas Ray Coffey, Beverly Tobin, Jamie Burnett, Rondell Coffey, and Alicia Hudson. Glasgow mayor, Henry Royce 15, Keith Rowlett 3. Glasgow City Council at the Austin precinct, Max Marion 7, Herbert Hess 1, Terry Bennell 11, Chastity Larry 12, Happy Neal 8, Brian Pettigo 8, Libby Short 6, Duncan Cotton 3, Patrick Gaunt 7, Joe Trigg 11, Marlon Witcher 8, Marna Kirkpatrick 7, Freddie Norris 14. Now, here are the 2 constitutional amendments. Amendment number 1.
And we'll talk about those in just a moment, what those are.
Yes, 406, no, 314. Amendment 2, 485 yes, 293 no.
All right. So that is our first little bit of local results that we've received this evening. And again, that's from the Austin Tracy Fire Department that we received those here. We do want to say a special thank you to Jessica DeVasier, who was generous to get those to us this evening. Now, Bobby, let's touch base on those constitutional amendments. We haven't had time to discuss those yet this evening, but I know they're both pretty significant here in the state of Kentucky. Let's obviously start with that large one, which is number 2. That's the one that I think a lot of folks are aware of, is dealing with abortion. Let's talk about that here in Kentucky.
Well, that amendment, of course, says that there is not a right in Kentucky to an abortion. There's no exceptions to that. You don't have a right to it if you, no matter how the pregnancy occurred. That doesn't mean that the legislature could not grant those rights.
Sure.
It just says you don't have a constitutional right to force that. There was a lot of controversy about that, whether or not it went too far, so forth. But it simply says that you don't have a right to an abortion. Roe versus Wade said, before it was overruled, that you did have a constitutional right for an abortion.
And like you mentioned there, Roe versus Wade, of course, being overturned earlier this year. And a lot of states, as we're calling them, so-called trigger laws, those went into effect. And Kentucky was one of those where essentially we've been in this buffering period where, this was going to be on the ballot. So right now, it's pretty much being put in the hands of Kentucky voters to decide on this measure. Like you said, the legislature, of course, could go back and figure out how they want to handle this. I do want to make note here, Kansas had a similar vote back in August and a similar referendum to which they are a primarily red state, a Republican state, but this referendum failed there, actually, to the surprise. So that was a pretty big shocker. And then other states with similar abortion referendum on that ballot for the general election, not only Kentucky, but 4 others: Michigan, California, Montana, and Vermont. And of course, all of those states have a similar referendum, but of course, they're all worded differently.
Well, the wording sometimes has a big impact, but...
And I think that's the case certainly for Amendment number 1, which I wanted to save that one for last, mainly because it's the largest one. So those who went out to vote noticed that was a large, very, very thorough amendment wording there. Could you give us a summary of that Constitutional Amendment 1?
Well, basically, that amendment allows the legislature to call itself into session. Our legislature is limited to 60 days every other year. And that's 60 legislative days that have to be used up by April the 15th. And I believe it's 30 days in the alternating years.
Right.
And if they don't get, other than that, they go into special session only when the governor calls them. This allows the legislature to call itself into special session and to select the issues that it will discuss at that session. Whereas now, the governor calls the special session and limits it to what he issues in his call.
Right. And as you mentioned there, essentially voters who voted no on this go-around essentially wanted to keep the circumstances the same. They wanted to maintain exactly how we have it set up now. And of course, those who voted yes were in favor of making those changes. And one interesting part there too is this if it is passed, this will mean a joint proclamation of the House Speaker and Senate President, who would be actually doing that.
Yes.
We have gotten some more general election results here, Bobby, and this time we have the Temple Hill Fire Department. So we are going to go ahead and get those read here for you. For United States Senator in the 2nd Congressional District, it is Rand Paul, the Republican, with 616 votes, and Charles Booker with 125 votes. U.S. Representative in Congress, 2nd Congressional District, it's Republican Brett Guthrie with 638 votes, 96 to Democrat Hank Linderman. Barren County Judge Executive, it's Republican Jamie Byrd with 488 votes to Democrat incumbent Michael Hell, 250 votes. Barren County Attorney, 457 for Republican Mike Richardson, 273 for Democratic incumbent Catherine Thomas. Barren County Sheriff Steve Garrison, who's the Republican, with 402, and Democrat Kent Keene with 337. Barren County Jailer, it's Republican Aaron Shirley with 627 votes to Cody Huff's 93 votes. Magistrate District 2, Republican Derek Pettigo with 11 votes, and Kristen Haynes with 3 votes. Magistrate District 3, which Temple Hill is in the 3rd Magisterial District. Not necessarily that folks had to go and vote there that would be living there, but it makes sense. 565 votes there for Republican Tim Durham, and 105 votes for Dennis Stevens. Constable in the 3rd District, it's Republican Joshua Garman with 461 votes, and Democrat Thomas Neal Jr. with 142. Magistrate District 4, it's Republican Tim Coomer with 8 votes, Chris Eaton 5. Constable District 4, Mosier with 8 votes, London with 3. Magistrate District 5, Kinslow 2, Ben Knuckles with 1. Magistrate District 7, Mike Haynes 9 votes, and Gross 6 votes. Constable District 7, 11 votes for Joseph Ramey, and Charles Benham receiving 3 votes. The Justice to the Supreme Court, Kelly Thompson Jr., 395 votes. Sean Marie Alcott, 128 votes. And Bobby, I'll let you take it from there for the Judge of the Court of Appeals.
That's Jeff Taylor with 331 and 121 votes for his opponent, Clement. There were no votes for the Caverna School District members there. For the Glasgow Board of Education, Lessonbury 11, Thornbury 7, Tally 6, Hayden 5. There were no votes in the Cave City Mayor's race or the City Council's race. In the Glasgow Mayor's race, Henry Royce had 15, Keith Rowlett 1. For the Glasgow City Council, there were some votes. Max Marion 8, Herbert Hess 4, Terry Bonnell 6, Chastity DeLarry 8, James Neal 9, Brian Pettigo 6, Libby Short 5, Duncan Cotton 3, Patrick Gaunt 7, Joe Trigg 6, Marlon Witcher 7, Marna Kirkpatrick 5, Freddie Norris 8. In the amendments, amendment number 1, yes 371, no 263. Amendment number 2, yes 420, no 263.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Now that we have a couple of the voting locations in, we are going to kick it over to Joe Myers, who's going to get us a look at what we have as far as totals so far.
All right, Brennan, let's first take a look at the Barren County Judge Executive's race with 2 precincts reporting, 2 of the 8 reporting, still waiting on absentees as well. Right now, Republican Jamie Bewley Byrd with a total of 1,062 votes. Democrat Michael Hale, 469. Moving on down the line here to the Barren County Attorney's race. Mike Richardson, the Republican, with 945 total votes. Democrat Catherine Thomas, 579. As we look at the Glasgow City Council race, again, 2 of 8 precincts in. Number 1 vote getter right now is Freddie Norris with 22 votes. Number 2, Chastity Lowry, has 20 votes. Number 3 on the City Council race is Terry Bunnell with 17 votes. And we actually have several with 17. Also with 17 is Joe Trigg and James Neal. So that would be a tie for third there. So now we're going to the number 6 place vote getter. That would be Max Marion with 15. Number 7 is Marlon Witcher with 15. So Max and Marlon each have 15 votes. Number 8 vote getter in the City Council race right now is Brian Pettigo with 14. Number 9, Patrick Gauntz. He also has 14, so a tie for 8th there. Number 10 is Marna Kirkpatrick with 12 votes. Number 11 is Libby Short with 11 votes. Number 12 is Duncan Cotton with 6 votes. And then number 13, Herbert Hess with 5 votes. So that's the City Council race right now. The Barren County Jailers race, again, 2 of 8 precincts in. We're looking at Republican Aaron Shirley with 1,285 votes. Democrat Cody Huff, 215. Barren County Sheriff's race, Republican Steve Garrison, 864 votes. Democrat Kent Keene, 671. Again, the 2 precincts that are in right now are Austin Tracy and Temple Hill. 6 more precincts plus absentees to go. In the mayoral race here in Glasgow, Henry Royce with 30 total votes. W. Keith Rowlett with 4. In the Barren County Magistrates races, in the 2nd District, the Republican Derek Pettigo with 613 total votes. Democrat Kristen Haynes, 143. In the 3rd District race, the Republican Tim Durham with 573 votes. Dennis Stevens, 105. In the 4th District Magistrates race, incumbent Tim Coomer with 10 votes right now. Democrat Chris Eaton with 9. In the 5th District race, in the Barren County Magistrates race, you have Republican Marty Kinslow with 10 votes. Democrat Ben Knuckles with 6. In the 7th District race, Republican Mike Haynes with 14 votes. Brad Gross with 11. In the mayor's race in Cave City, only 1 vote in right now. That 1 vote is for Letitia Klein. J.R. Pointer, Dwayne Hatcher yet to receive a vote. In the Cave City Council race, again, just a very few votes in here. 1 vote each for Douglas Coffey, Brandon Wright, Beverly Ford, Jamie Burnett, Ronald Coffey, and Ashlyn Hudson. The other candidates at this point have not received a vote. Looking at the amendments real quick, Constitutional Amendment number 1, again, 2 precincts of the 8 are in, and we have on Constitutional Amendment number 1, 777 yes votes, 577 no votes, and on a Constitutional Amendment number 2, 905 yes votes, 556 no votes. You want to look at everything here, Brendan, or you need a break?
Well, let's go ahead and touch base. We do have our Park City results in, so I think a lot of folks are obviously watching these local races particularly. We do want to make note, too, that on those larger races and the amendments as well, Barren County obviously is not going to single-handedly decide those races. I think everyone knows that, but we just want to make sure everyone is aware. All right, we're going to run down the list here now, starting back up at the top with United States Senator. It is Rand Paul with 418 votes. And again, this is from the Park City Lions Club. 203 votes for Booker, 470 for Guthrie in the U.S. Representative Congressional District there, the second one. And Hank Linderman, 151 votes. For Barren County Judge Executive, it's Jamie Byrd with 350 votes and Michael Hell with 280. Barren County Attorney Mike Richardson, 327, and Catherine Thomas, 298. Barren County Sheriff Steve Garrison, 271 to Kent Keene's 351. For Barren County Jailer, it's 448 for Aaron Shirley and 167 for Cody Huff. For Magistrate District 2, it's Derek Pettigo with 4 and Haynes with 1. For District 3 Magistrate, Durham 4, Stevens 1 vote. Constable District 3, Garman with 1 vote. Neal with 2 votes. Magistrate District 4, it's 6 votes for Coomer and 5 for Eaton. On the Constable District 4 race, it's 2 votes for Mosier and 8 votes for London. Magistrate District 5, it's 42 votes for Kinslow and 14 for Knuckles. District 7 Magistrate, 1 vote for Haynes and 10 for Gross. Constable District 7, Ramey with 3 and Benham with 4. And Bobby, you can take the rest of the way there.
All right, we'll go to the Supreme Court. Kelly Thompson Jr., 319, Alcott, 144. Judge Court of Appeals, Jeff Taylor, 234, David Clement, 148. We do have some Caverna School Board votes in this one. Hatchett, 2, Lyon, 4, Dennison, 2, Ballard, 2, Knuckles, 1. In the Glasgow Board of Education, Lessenberry, 4, Thornberry, 5, Talley, 4, Hayden, 3. In the Cave City Mayor, 1 each for each of the candidates. In the City Council at Cave City, Briggs, 2, Wright, 1, Pettigo, 1, Tobin, 1, Doyle, 1, Burnett, 2, Hudson, 2, Houchins, 1. In the Cave City Mayor's race, or City of Glasgow Mayor race, it's Henry Royce, 8, Rowlett, 4. Glasgow City Council, Marion, 6, Hess, 1, Bunnell, 6, Lowry, 4, Neal, 5, Pettigo, 4, Short, 5, Cotton, 4, Gaunce, 4, Trigg, 5, Witcher, 2, Kirkpatrick, 5, Norris, 6. On the constitutional amendments, number 1, yes, 270, no, 283. Amendment number 2, yes, 301, no, 308.
All right, well, that's the wrap-up there from Park City. So at this point, we have 3 of the 8 voting centers, and of course, we do have that 9th factor that we'll be factoring in, and that are those early votes that were, of course, cast at the clerk's office. We've not received those yet at this point. I do remember back in the spring, that was one of those that was actually one of the last ones that we were able to know about. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a 3-minute break, and when we return, we're going to check in again with Joe Myers on this updated tabulation across the room. We have lots of folks working to tabulate for these election results. You're listening to the 2022 general election coverage.
What's better than a hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection? A hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection, along with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. What a combo! Right now at Colton Steakhouse and Grill, get a hand-cut 6-ounce sirloin cooked to order with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. Served with 2 side items, delicious rolls and honey, plus endless peanuts. Get your sirloin and seafood fix at the same time, only at Colton Steakhouse and Grill in Glasgow, Campbellsville, Radcliffe, and Bardstown. We know what's at stake. Sirloin and shrimp, too.
Monticello Bank began in 1895 in Monticello, Kentucky. They were one of the few banks who survived the Great Depression. Today, there are 21 branches all across the Commonwealth, from Louisville to Harlan. Monticello Bank offers full-service local banking for personal and business products. From home loans to commercial lending, Monticello Bank will guarantee the most competitive rates from local people you know and trust. Because their friendly personal staff is what separates Monticello Bank from all the rest. Stop by their location on 1434 Happy Valley Road in Glasgow every weekday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and let them make the financial side of your life a little bit easier. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you were about to have your last McRib ever, you'd want some warning. So this is your notice to enjoy the sauciest McDonald's sandwich more than ever, because the McRib Farewell Tour has begun.
This is your chance to say 2 final goodbyes to a classic. For a limited time, enjoy 2 McRib sandwiches for only $6. Hurry before they're gone. At participating McDonald's, McD app download and registration required.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
It was a Friday. We were wrapping up a slow night on highway patrol when the call came in. Deer Patrol, Buck speaking. Slow down, Tom, slow down. What's the problem? What? You hit a deer and Southern Kentucky Collision is going to give you a free turkey? Well, that sounds like a great idea. I'm sorry you don't agree, but Southern Kentucky Collision knows that deer do a ton of damage to vehicles. Kentucky's ranked 4th in the country in number of deer collisions this time of year. A free turkey when you bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision for repair of the deer damage is a great way to turn your luck around. Well, not your luck around. Southern Kentucky's Collision's respected work is well documented. So if you hit a deer, don't be a turkey. Get a turkey. Bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision. The 8th annual Hit a Deer, Get a Turkey event at Southern Kentucky Collision, Industrial Drive, Glasgow. No real deer or turkeys were harmed in the making of.
Welcome back into our 2022 general election coverage here at WCLU. We're so glad that you're joining us this evening, and we are also broadcasting thanks to the Glasgow Electric Plant Board. And of course, if you're joining us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, welcome to our evening. We've just rolled over into the 7 o'clock hour, and we've received 3 of our voting centers reports. And we're going to go over right now to Joe Myers, who's in studio, and he'll let us know how these races are shaping up. Joe?
All right, Brendan, thank you very much. For the Barren County Judge Executive's Office race, right now it's Republican Jamie Bewley-Byrd in the lead with 1,412 votes. Democrat Michael Hill, 749. Barren County Attorney's race, Republican Mike Richardson in the lead, 1,272 votes. Democrat Catherine Thomas, 877. In the, Cindy, in the city council's race here, the number 1 vote getter right now, Freddie Norris with 28 votes. Chastity Lowry is number 2 with 24 votes. Number 3 would be Terry Bunnell with 23 votes. Joe Trigg, number 4 with 22 votes. James Neal, number 5 with 22 votes. Actually, him and Joe are tied with 22 votes right now. Number 6 would be Max Marion with 21 votes. 7th place vote getter right now for the city council, Patrick Gauntz with 18 votes. Then you've got also Brian Pettigo with 18 votes. And number 9 would be Marlon Witcher with 17 votes. Number 10, Marna Kirkpatrick, also 17, so she and Marlon are tied with 17 each. Number 11, Libby Short has 16 votes. Number 12, Duncan Cotton with 10 votes. Number 13, Herbert Hess with 6 votes. As we look at the Barren County Jailer's race, Republican Aaron Shirley in the lead. In the lead again, there are 3 voting centers of the 8 that are reporting. Aaron Shirley with 1,733 votes. Cody Huff with 382. In the Barren County Sheriff's race, Republican Steve Garrison with a slim lead right now, 1,135 votes. Democrat Kent Keene, 1,022. In the mayor's race here in Glasgow, 3 voting centers of the 8 reporting, still waiting on absentees as well. Henry Royce with 38 total votes, W. Keith Rowlett with 8. In the Barren County Magistrate's race, in the 2nd District, Republican Derek Pettigo with 617 votes, Democrat Kristen Haynes 144. 3rd District race, it is Republican Tim Durham with 577 votes, Dennis Stevens, the Democrat, with 106. In the 4th District race, just a few votes in on this one, not many reporting right now. Republican incumbent Tim Coomer with 17 votes, Democrat Chris Eaton with 14. In the 5th District race for the magistrates, you have Republican Marty Kinslow with 52 votes, Democrat Ben Knuckles with 20. In the 7th District race, you have Democrat Brad Gross with 21 votes, Republican Mike Haynes with 15. Cape City's mayor's race, again, very few votes in right now. Letitia Klein has 2 votes. J.R. Porter 1. Dwayne Hatcher 1. Cape City Council race, you have, 2 folks with 3 votes, Jamie Burnett and Ashlyn Hudson. With 2 votes, you have George Briggs, Brandon Wright, Beverly Ford. And then with 1 vote, you have Douglas Coffey, Steve Pettigo, Denny Doyle, and Ronald Coffey, along with Kevin Houchins. One thing we did not look at a moment ago, Brendan, is the Board of Education for both Caverna and Glasgow, so I want to look at those real quick. Right now, on the Glasgow Board of Education race, the leader is Barrett Lessenberry with 27 votes. Number 2 is William Thornberry with 23 votes. Number 3, Jonathan Talley with 17. Number 4, Reggie Hayden with 16 votes. In the Caverna Board of Education race, again, just a few votes in right now, but Gina Lyon has 4 votes. She's in the lead, followed by Allison Dennison and Jennifer Page Ballard with 3 votes each, Mickey Hatchett with 2 votes, Kalisha Knuckles with 2 votes as well. Constable races, we haven't looked at those yet either. We'll look at those real quick. In the 3rd District Constable's race, it is Republican Joshua Garman with 465 votes, Thomas Neal Jr. with 148. In the 4th District race, Republican incumbent, actually it's Democrat challenger John London with 14 votes, Republican incumbent Russ Mosier with 13. In the 7th District race for the Barren County Constables, you have Republican Joseph Ramey with 20 votes, Democrat Charles Benham 10.
All right, thank you, Joe. So again, that's our report that we have at this point. And again, 3 of the 8 voting centers, and minus the absentees or the early votes, as we're kind of factoring those both in, being the same. Bobby, you know, one of the things too over here, the judge executives race, that's one thing that we're watching this evening. I know our community is watching very heavily. And also right next to that, the board there is the Barren County attorney's race. You know, we've been hearing from our candidates with some of these clips from the forum, and our Barren County attorneys candidates there. That was Mr. Mike Richardson and incumbent Catherine Thomas. You know, they discussed a number of ideas the community was curious about, and one of those was drugs in the community. Now, I know, of course, that's not something that we necessarily like to talk about, but it is a problem. We know that it's an issue, and I think that what I want to do first is I want to hear from our county attorney candidates on that issue, drugs in our community, prosecuting those issues, and in what direction they see those heading.
The attention of youth in the county regarding drug use, and how do you plan to combat and meth?
You need to be able to give mandatory jail time, and again, send a message. It's not going to be tolerated. As far as helping out youth, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm totally opposed to the county attorney's plan that she had put in place at the beginning of the school year, the Thursday before school, where we're going to charge kids with nicotine-filled vape pens with drug paraphernalia, a charge that will never hold up in court. This hurts working families. I've talked to so many parents who've had to take time off their jobs and lose money in the process to take their kids out of school to go to the CDW's office, who is barely consulted with, and they're just having just hundreds of cases they suddenly have to deal with. This is not an efficient use of resources. This isn't going to do anything. I don't want kids vaping. I've talked to my own child about that. But this isn't going to solve the problem. Prevention and education is key. And I plan, if I'm elected county attorney, number one, that policy's going away, and I'm going to stand with the parents on this issue.
The issues, those that suffer from drug addiction, don't start with heroin. They don't start with methamphetamine. They start with something on a smaller scale. And those things, such as marijuana or pills, we do deal with regularly. If we want to address this with our youth, there is one and only way that we can do that. We can reach out with our schools and be a community partner with our local school systems, which is exactly what I've done. The vape policy is something that has been talked about a lot. I realized that it was not popular with a lot of people, but here are the facts. This time last year, Barren County High School alone had right at 50 incidents of vaping at school. This time, this year, it's 25. That's a 50% reduction, and I'll tell you this, I will stand behind that every day. I would stand behind it if it was one child that it affected, because it is our job and the job of everybody in this legal community to protect our children, which is exactly what I'm doing.
What approach would you take to get the attention?
Something that is an issue, I think, in all counties across the area and really across the country. It has been for a number of years, and I know that folks are really interested in the prosecution of those drug crimes. We're going to take a break just for a moment. Hopefully we'll be getting in some more results. Again, reminder at this point, we've received 3 of our 8 voting centers in this evening, and we've just did a roundabout, if you will, with Joe Myers across the room to hear where those races stand. But be sure to stay tuned, because we're going to touch base on those, and we'll continue our broadcast. You're listening to the 2022 election coverage here at WCLU. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Alexa, what time is it?
Time to get the heat fixed, David. I'm freezing.
What?
I'm cold. Call HVAC services.
It's not that cold. Plus, you're not even a human.
They do heating and cooling 24 hours a day on any brand, anytime. Plus, do you know who wakes you up in the morning?
You do, Alexa?
Enjoy me keeping your shopping lists?
Yeah?
Then call HVAC services at 270-651-3841 before I cancel all your appointments.
At the Glasgow EPB, we make it easy to be our customer. By offering both energy and broadband services, those who live in Glasgow benefit from knowing that their essential utilities are always working to benefit the community they serve. Those who need Glasgow EPB services can apply in person or online and can pay their monthly bill the exact same way. When you have trouble with your service, help is only a phone call or click away. That is how we strive to make our services convenient for you. Learn more at glasgowepb.com.
Are you looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Sean Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
What's better than a hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection? A hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection, along with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. What a combo! Right now at Colton Steakhouse and Grill, get a hand-cut 6-ounce sirloin cooked to order with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. Served with 2 side items, delicious rolls and honey, plus endless peanuts. Get your sirloin and seafood fix at the same time, only at Colton Steakhouse and Grill in Glasgow, Campbellsville, Radcliffe, and Bardstown. We know what's at stake. Sirloin and shrimp too.
Monticello Bank began in 1895 in Monticello, Kentucky. They were one of the few banks who survived the Great Depression. Today, there are 21 branches all across the Commonwealth, from Louisville to Harlan. Monticello Bank offers full-service local banking for personal and business products. From home loans to commercial lending, Monticello Bank will guarantee the most competitive rates from local people you know and trust. Because their friendly personal staff is what separates Monticello Bank from all the rest. Stop by their location on 1434 Happy Valley Road in Glasgow every weekday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and let them make the financial side of your life a little bit easier. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It was a Friday. We were wrapping up a slow night on highway patrol when the call came in. Deer Patrol, Buck speaking. Slow down, Tom, slow down. What's the problem? What? You hit a deer and Southern Kentucky Collision is going to give you a free turkey.